Hey, what's up, everybody? Nick Unreal from NewOrleans.Football, and you're watching The Dot presented by Matt Bowers Auto Group. It's the Friday mailbag, and we are pretty much in the final countdown now until training camp. We'll be back out there soon getting answers definitively to all these questions. But until then, get into our Twitter community, ask your questions, and we will pick them out every Friday to answer on the mailbag. Today, the first question comes from CD101, who says, do you see any of the 2023 free agents getting a new contract before or during the season? CJ Gardner-Johnson, Eric McCoy, Marcus Davenport, Deontay Hardy, etc. We just spent a lot of time on our last podcast discussing this very topic, going through all these guys and the likelihood of each one getting a contract and some of the challenges that come along with negotiating those contracts or placing values on each one of those players. So make sure you go check that out. But I think it's frankly up in the air on all of them. I know in some of these cases, it sounds like negotiations are far apart right now, but those things tend to soften up at a certain point and you get full steam ahead on any of them. So you never want to say never on any contract negotiation. But I do think that the Saints have a handful of very key players that should be a part of their future that they need to figure out what they're going to do with before they hit the open market and other teams have a chance to woo them away. But it is going to be interesting to see if anything comes together with any of these players before the start of the season. As of now, it seems unlikely that at least a handful of them will get new contracts before the season starts. Our next question comes from Travis, who says, on paper, I believe the Saints have the best roster. Do you agree? And if so, what do you think this team's sole Achilles heel is, pun intended? I don't think that the Saints have the best roster in the NFL. There's just too many questions right now, things that got to get answered. And look, there's a lot of really good teams, especially in the AFC. So it's going to be a tough sell for me to go that far with this team until we have questions answered about some of the players. But I've said it all along, I think this team's going to go as Jameis Winston goes. And if he has a good season, I think that the Saints will have a good season. If he has a poor season, I think the Saints have a poor season. If he struggles, they'll struggle. I think everything's in place for them to succeed. And I think there's a lot of reasons to believe that Jameis will have a good season and take this team to the playoffs. And if Mike Thomas is healthy and everything I'm hearing right now about him sounds positive, I do think that this is a 10-11 win team, and that is in the playoffs. And then once you get there, you never know what happens. Look at what the Bengals did last year. They won 10 games and got hot at the right time. So as long as you get into the tournament, you have a shot, and I think this team is a tournament team. Our last question comes from Zach, who asks, when will we hear about Alvin Kamara and his suspension? Right now, I believe the next court date is August 1st, and I do not believe anything has happened since then. So I think it's going to be a little while before we hear anything on this case. I could obviously be wrong on that, but my feeling is it needs to go through the legal process before there is a league process on discipline. So the longer that goes, the better it is for this season. As long as this doesn't pop up during a key point, say December, when the Saints are making a push for the playoffs, I think if he's going to get suspended, you'd rather get it over with early than later. But it does have to go through that process. And I think the thing that's important, and somebody else pointed this out online recently, I wish I had the name on the tip of my tongue, but I don't. They pointed out that if the video doesn't leak, that's probably a good thing for Alvin as well, because once those images are out there, it kind of forces the league to take action on their own before that legal process can play out. So the longer this goes, I think the better it is for this season. But at some point, if there is a legal process that plays out that levies punishment against Alvin for his alleged role in that Las Vegas incident, I think there will be a games paid punishment brought down by the league. But however that plays out, we'll see. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football for all of your Saints news, needs, and coverage.